Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Cain's return story has been a hard sell, particularly for longtime young and restless viewers who aren't buying the backstory, but also for those who have picked out a plethora of plot holes along the way. Be sure to vote at the end and let us know if we missed any as we run down the top 10. Believing that Cain Ashby, a bartender and grifter from down under who job-hopped continuously, rose to the level of Victor Newman in 6 years is a stretch. Of course, as soap fans were used to suspending disbelief to a certain extent, but this pushes the limits. Of course, part of the explanation for Ashby's meteoric rise is that he had help, which brings us to our next point of contention. Supposedly, Cain's father, Colin Atkinson, taught him how to build an empire to rival Victor Newman's in just 6 years using legal means. The problem? Colin was never that good at anything from what we know. He was a failed mob boss who once was chased down by a mob of angry cattle ranchers and spent most of his time being caught out whilst trying to scam people. To suggest that Colin possessed this untapped font of knowledge and never bothered to use it to enrich himself is approaching the impossible. The whole premise behind Chance being brought to the chateau and ultimately losing his life was that Cain believed someone was trying to kill him. If everything he did was legit and legal, and no one in Genoa City knew what he was up to yet, who was out to get him, it leaves quite the hole in the plot, and in Chance's death, to leave this key point unexplained and sweep it under the rug. We can understand Cain wanting to take Chancellor back from Victor and give it to Lily after the way she was duped out of the CEO position there and told she belonged at Winters. But why does he need to have Jabot, Newman Enterprises, and all of the real estate in Genoa City? We have no inkling of his true motives, and as time drags on, we care less and less about this latest business story. We're supposed to believe that Cain is a mastermind who rose to Victor's level in 6 years and has a grand plan to take over all of Genoa City, and yet he's still recruiting. Instead of executing a cunning scheme with pre-planning and precision, everything's hanging on him taking chances on the likes of Phyllis and Billy. Cain begged Lily to listen to his explanation in France, and she demanded answers from him repeatedly. But somehow, even after Damien dying, they've still never sat down for a conversation. One would think that by now, he'd have come clean about why he's done all of this. Explain, if you can, the logic behind Cain thinking that lying for 6 years would help him convince Lily that he's not a lying liar. If he's as smart as we're to believe, he might have thought this one through a little better. Maybe he'd have realized that deceiving her and his children for more than half a decade would hurt his chances with her. Young and Restless has landed in a bit of a tough spot now that Cain and Lily look as nearly as young as their adult children supposedly are. Will they keep them off-screen or bring them back and push the envelope of believability even more? Speaking of Cain's kids, where is his youngest son, Sam? The child would be about 7 years old and should be with his dad, but his name hasn't even been mentioned since Cain's return. Are we to forget that entire storyline ever existed? Jill does irrational anger like no one else, so why is she fine with Cain getting Chance killed? This unbelievable plot point isn't directly to do with Cain, but instead with the battle lines being drawn in Genoa City. If Cain's as big a threat to the Newmans as they think, and they believe Billy is working with him, why isn't Adam following Victor's orders to unleash on them both? The answer? He's waiting for Chelsea to give her approval. Please, not only does it not make sense that Chelsea is running the show over at Newman Media, but if we're to believe that Adam will one day follow in his father's footsteps, they're going to have to give him back some semblance of his ruthlessness. Victor would never. Do you find the story surrounding Cain's return to be believable? Vote.